He's Joe Reinagel. I'm Jay Semenix on this Wednesday afternoon.
Hump day.
Hump day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope everybody's having a great hump day. A little cold outside, isn't it?
It is.
Man. It's supposed to be spring.
It is supposed to be spring. Well, it's officially spring.
Technically, it is.
It's right around the corner.
Which I just found out yesterday. I was thinking it was like this weekend sometime.
Well, but it's already here.
It's here
already here.
Yeah.
Spring, for sure. He's Joe Reinagel. I'm Jay Semenix. Let's talk with Spurs legend Bruce Bowen, joining us now on the Buyers Barricades guest line. He's working this weekend at the San Antonio Sports All-Star basketball game, coaching in that. Bruce, how's practice going with all those All-Stars?
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. The first day is today as far as practice, but I'm looking forward to this. I want to talk about how the necessity of playing hard, and this is a showcase for a lot of our kids that maybe didn't get seen by colleges and things of that nature. So I think leading with that is going to help with the whole process of making sure kids are out there giving 100% and trying to learn and adapt to the things that we're doing.
Bruce, I have to believe that your team's going to play a little defense, I would imagine. Will they?
Well, you know, I'm going to give them something to the defense. Then it's up to them. But you remember, we only got 3 days to prepare. So, you know, it's the sad part is that I just don't want people to think that All-Star game is such a great on. It's not what Major League Baseball is. It's not what NFL Pro Bowl is anymore. Now, Pro Bowl, that's a little different because you're talking about guys getting injured. And I guess injuries could happen at any time. But with football, we just know that there have been some guys that have lost their seasons going into the next year because of knee injuries. So I really just want to share with these kids how fortunate they are to have been selected in the first annual All-Star game for basketball. And secondly, you know, it's through your hard work and dedication to the sport. You're being rewarded, and hopefully you will continue to be able to make this such a monumental situation for yourself and be able to tell others that you participated in it.
It's quite an honor, and I think about, you know, for all the years we've had the San Antonio Sports All-Star football game, this is the first ever San Antonio Sports All-Star basketball game. 122 athletes from 67 area high schools, 4 total games, and the games are this Sunday over at the Northside Gym. You've got 5A, 6A, and then 1A, 4A in private schools, both boys and girls. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I appreciate the way, Bruce, you were talking about the All-Star competition level, because we see this in the football game, and I expect to see this Sunday in the basketball games. It's not like the NBA All-Star game where the guys are out there going through the motions. These kids are going to play hard because they want to show up and show off a little bit, right?
That's right, and there's nothing wrong with playing hard. I think that's been lost in a lot of situations, that kids actually look at it like, oh, he's playing hard. Yeah, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You know, I've never heard of people getting hurt playing hard. I've heard of people getting hurt clowning around and going through the motions, but it's never been from someone playing hard.
Well, Bruce, I have to believe, if I'm a young person and I know that Bruce Bowen is my coach for this thing, I mean, that's a thrill and an honor in itself. Why did you want to get involved in something like this?
Well, I look at this as part of my giving back to the game. I enjoy trying to impact young men and women in the game that they love, that I love, and just try to teach them certain values that they can take in life as well. This is a day and age where, because of, I think, all the success of basketball and how popular it is, sometimes with all the popularity, you start to lose some of the things that were once given in the game as far as the fundamentals of the game. And so the more we can get kids to understanding how important it is with the fundamental aspect of things, I think the better and more opportunities they may have as they continue on in the game of basketball.
Spurs legend Bruce Bowen joining us here on the Blitz on 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. And I guess if some people weren't aware, you've been coaching at TMI now. What's been the biggest adjustment coaching at the high school level?
The biggest adjustment I'd say is just making sure that people truly understand that you want what's best for the kids. I'm very animated in what I do. I'm passionate about the game of basketball, and it's more or less sometimes it can be misconstrued for something other than passion. I talk about the importance of communication with the kids. You know, I'm at a great situation at TMI, and you know, in the classroom, teachers really want our kids to excel, and they push them. Well, you also get pushed in sport as well, and so it's not the fact that you're being pushed that's a detriment to the game. The fact that sometimes when you push, it may not be received as pushing, and it may be taken as something else. I don't believe that all the coaches that I've had that I know that I couldn't see what was destined for me if it was through my own eyes. I know that it's because of some of the things that some of the coaches saw in me that allowed me to be more than what I thought I was. And so the biggest thing I think now, because it's a different day and age, and our kids are super talented, but it requires more communication, talking to them about what you're doing or talking to the parents about what you're doing. Whereas when I was coming up, parents were at work. They didn't they didn't show up to your practice. So if there was an issue, your parents or your grandparents said, all right, you need to go talk to the coach. Whereas now I think more coaches are understanding of what they're dealing with. And that was the biggest adjustment for me was, okay, I need to communicate to this 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old to the point where they understand certain things. But at the same time, I show you that I care because I am pushing you.
All right, Bruce, I have to ask you that. I can't have a player of your caliber on without asking this question. You were such a great defensive player. You were more than that, but defense was kind of your signature. When you watch the NBA these days, do you just cry?
You know, it's not that I cry, but I will say it's okay to be competitive against each other. You don't have to be friends on the floor, and obviously no one wanted to be my friend because I was like somebody that had, as Sean would say, a rash. Uh, people didn't try to get to know me because they were competitive and they wanted to do their best against me because they knew that that's what I was representing. And so I wish kids understood that even if you are friends with someone, the best way you can show your friendship is to give your all against your friend. Because if you're giving your all, that's what that friend brings out of you. He brings out the best. And so it shouldn't be a scenario where you're not that it's about embarrassment, but you're not going to do something that they not. No, you do it because of the respect of the relationship. And I guarantee you, if you keep doing that to that friend is going to learn something as well that, okay, either I need to guard someone else or I need to do a better job of guarding my friend.
The great Bruce Bowen here on the Blitz is, you think about now that watching the game through a coach's eyes, but obviously you have that great NBA career, is you watch the Spurs. And I know Greg Popovich, like last night, goal isn't winning, it's getting better in improving individually and as a team. And that's what Pop said last night after they lost a tough one, a close one to the Dallas Mavericks. When you're watching the Spurs play and you see low basketball IQ kind of moments, bad plays fundamentally. From a player perspective, from a coach perspective now, how do you watch the Spurs play?
Well, at first, I gotta defend that as far as the low IQ. It's no way you get to this level if you have low IQ in basketball. It's just that so many guys are so skilled. What you're seeing is a young group of guys. You have to go through the bad stuff before you start seeing the good stuff. So there's so many individuals that are in different positions this year as compared to last year. You look at the fact that the addition of what Wemby is able to do as far as create opportunities and you learn how to play with someone like that. And it's another adjustment. If you have not been through so many different things as far as the experiences of basketball, it just states that you're young. And that's what you hear Pop saying night in, night out, that they're young, because sometimes youngsters get more consumed or concerned with W's as compared to L's. I guarantee you this, there is nothing that I learned in my time after a W. The time that I learned more about this game is through those failures. It's through those failures that you want to get better. It's through those failures that you watch film. And I'm sure Pop has the edits because he did with us, but you have those edits to show you exactly what's transpiring. Because in a young man's mind, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. But when you see it on the film, now you have another opportunity to say, that's what he's talking about. But you got to also remember is that this is the first time that a lot of guys have played with someone like Wemby. So because it's so different and it takes time, that's part of the process. I'm very much appreciative of Pop's patience to be able to still do it at this level and be excited doing it. Obviously, this is not about a paycheck with Pop. He truly cares about the individuals that he's coaching, and he's truly passing something on to them that when it's all said and done, they're going to be able to reflect on this moment and say, man, I am so glad I had Pop as a coach.
Well, I mean, we hear that from all of you guys pretty much, right? I mean, after your career's over, and people say that quite a bit. I've got to ask you this question because your defense was so good, and I loved watching you on that side of the floor. Victor Wembanyama, we've been having this debate, I guess you could say. There's never been a rookie win Defensive Player of the Year. Do you think Wemby deserves that, Bruce?
Man, that's a great question. I love what he does defensively because his contest, what people don't realize is that when he stretches out from the paint and he's jumping at your ball and you're at the 3-point line, he creates a diversion of the basket, obviously, and that's why we're supposed to contest shots. But, because it's so much about the sexiness of offense, I think people don't even realize how good he is defensively and what he does as far as covering up different areas because he covers space like no one else. So to say that, I would love to see a rookie get something quite like that. But at the same time, who's voting? See, that's where it all falls into. There's many a times where you never saw a team, maybe with the less amount of wins, have someone to win the Defensive Player of the Year. But I guarantee you this: I think he's going to be able to have at least 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards as he continues on into his career.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think about, I mean, you're a great guy to ask that too, because I think there were some times, Bruce, you were a victim of your position in not winning that award. You lost it to Ben Wallace, twice? And just because he's a post player.
You're trying to get me to see my therapist tomorrow. Stop it. No, man, there's a lot of times. I told Tim one time, and this is about the only joke that he laughed at quite like this. I said, I'll be dang. I'm like Susan Lucci at this. and for those of you who don't know, that was a soap opera star who never won one of those coveted awards. But I think she finally got one. So I can't even say that. She's one up on me now.
Well,
I hope Wemby gets so many he can let you just put one on the case because you should have one in there.
and I'll say it. I'll go see my therapist. You got robbed on many occasions.
I appreciate it, fellas. No, man, it's but people don't talk about Wemby's defense at all, and the totality of what he does as far as having to create for himself, creating for others, learning to trust others in this game. It's truly a lot for a 19-year-old, and the fact that again he's taking pride in defense, like the fact that the young man dunked the ball the other night for Golden State, I believe. But he contested it. And it's going to happen every now and then that you get dunked on. But I guarantee you this, and I tell you this, that he's blocked more dunk attempts than people that have had success on him. And you want someone like that because when it comes to that time of the game, you got to have someone that's willing to be selfless in that moment and say, I'm not concerned whether it's a highlight or not. I'm concerned on trying to get a stop and making this tough for my opponent.
The great Bruce Bowen joining us here on the Blitz 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. You talk about talking with a therapist. How much has that conversation been about the Dallas Cowboys and the way that last season ended with that loss to Green Bay?
Well, I just hit send on the text right now. You'll definitely take it there. No, man, it is disappointing because I'm a fan of the Cowboys, and I'm not a fair weather person. Now, if you would have told me back in the 80s that we're going to win the Super Bowl the times that we do, and then you're not going to sniff it for quite some time, I wouldn't have believed that. But just like in anything, I think as they continue on, it's more about looking in the mirror than anywhere else. You have the talent, you have the coaches, you have everything that's necessary to have a very good team. Now it's just more about how you go about and execute. You have to be disciplined in this game, just like in any other sport. But it can't be 3rd and 18 for a team and you jump off sides or you line up in a neutral zone. Those are the things that hurt me so much, is that I can handle an interception. I can handle those things, but it's the little mental things, because so much of the game is mental. And when you give the top players in the world in your sport another opportunity, that's usually when bad things happen.
No doubt.
All right, Bruce, are you down for Dak getting a big extension, or are you ready to move on from number 4?
No, I'm not ready to move on from number 4. I like to get a really good running back and just start there. But I think that the more that people talk about that, I think it's hard to play for the Dallas Cowboys, especially at the quarterback position. So it just goes to show me of who he is and what he's about. Because of all the scrutiny, every single game there's an issue, and usually that issue lies with what you chose to do. So I'm still good with that. I'm not going to be one of those that like get rid of him, because it's not just him. It's everyone, and we just got to get on the same page. And I feel like I'm one of the coaches that's constantly trying to get them going the right way right now, because it seems like I'm the only one that believes in them in the building.
With all the noise he has to deal with, Bruce, maybe you ought to share your therapist number with Dak Prescott.
No, because I need my therapist for me. That's where I draw the line. I got to be a little selfish.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. The great Bruce Bowen here on the Blitz. He has been selected to be one of the coaches for the San Antonio Sports Star All-Star Basketball Game, the first ever All-Star Basketball Game in San Antonio. It seems crazy. The games are going to be this Sunday at the Northside Gym. Bruce is coaching the 1A to 4A and private school boys game, which is at 2:15. The girls there play at noon, and then the afternoon session, the 5A6 game at 6 and at 8:15 for the girls, and then the boys. It's going to be a fun time. Get your tickets. Go out and support these great athletes and watch Bruce do some all-star game coaching. Are you going to be intense during the game as a coach?
Man, I don't know any other way. But this is the thing. I'm really going to enjoy this moment, because usually with your team, you might be 1 or 2 kids away from something truly special. Well, now I have a lot of guys that have been selected as their top players in what they do. So I'm really looking forward to this and more about the experience. I joke when I say I'm passionate and things like that, but I really am looking forward to these kids maybe 5 years from now telling someone what they felt about this, because I feel like there's so much talent here in San Antonio. It's just unfortunate that people don't give us enough credit here in San Antonio that they do in Houston and Dallas. So, there's beauty here. There's a lot of players that have come out of a lot of our schools here that have had success, and that they're doing a good job and still representing San Antonio.
Absolutely. And all-star game coach, add that one to the resume. Put that in the trophy case. Bruce Bowen, always fun catching up, my friend. Have fun this Sunday.
All right, take care.
Appreciate it. If you want tickets to the game. You can buy them at sanantoniosports.org or just head over to the Northside Gym on Sunday afternoon. Tickets are only $20 for each session, which is the boys and girls game. Bruce Bowen joining us on the Buyers Barricades guest line, where they provide traffic control, rental, and sales for San Antonio and beyond online at buyersbarricades.com.